Okay, so this is the Thursday morning trade recap. I like to try to do these a couple times a week, showcasing some of the futures trades that set up here this morning. Just to go back a little bit before we look at these trades, there was some unemployment numbers that come out on Thursday mornings. That was way over here. Let me just recap sort of what happened in the pre-market session. You can see here that all the equities just got hammered. It was the unemployment was higher than expected, disappointed the market. So in the pre-market, they just hammered these equities down. I mean, they sold off big time. 5:30 is when that number comes out Pacific time, and they just took these markets down. They all dropped pretty heavily. S&P, Nasdaq, Russell. But what was interesting is that going into the market open, which was over here, you can see that we went into sort of a protracted consolidation area here. See how we were just kind of bouncing around between these support and resistance areas? This is what we call the early morning zone. And what we're looking for essentially, without getting into a lot of detail, is some kind of break one way or the other after this monster moved down. Well, you can see over here, here's the open of the market at 6:30 Pacific, right about in here. We're still chopping around here, and then watch what happens to Nasdaq. It comes up here, challenges that resistance area. That was actually the buy trigger right in there. And if you didn't get the buy when it took out 2610, look at what it did over here. It paused. See this little box? It sat in there about 5 or 10 minutes right there, right in here. So you had plenty of time to get in on that breakup. Anyway, here's how the trade panned out. There was another little retracement here. You recall we said watch for a pullback into 22 for support for a nice Proby trade. Remember that? Remember that number? So what I'm saying is that even if you didn't catch the optimal entries kind of down in here, you did have another shot to get in when to pull back to 22 for the last part of this first trade. Right there. There was your pop-up. Then we pulled back, if you recall, did a yellow bar probe, which was next, right in here, triggering the secondary buy on the retracement. Popped up, took out 2 more pivots, went all the way up here, and then you had one more retrace. It was interesting. Remember that number 36 3/4? We said watch for that to hold, look for a bounce right in here. Those numbers should hopefully sound familiar because we were talking about them all morning, right in there. So here again, if you didn't get the optimal entry down in here, you still had a secondary shot to catch the tail end of that second long trade there. And sure enough, you bip right up. And I think that was the high of the morning up there, this 6/8 pivot, 46.5. That turned out to be the high of the morning, I believe, right up in there. So you had 2 long trades, both pretty nice. If you caught both, you'd be up slightly over $600 and change, depending on your fills, where you got in and got out. You know, if you caught half the trades, you probably made about half of that. Here again, we want to underscore that what you want to do in the morning here is you want to, and here, of course, here's your uptrend line right here. I think you've seen charts. I think Gary had a chart where he drew the uptrend line. We had a good webinar last night. We've had a couple of really good webinars, by the way, that get into a lot of detail on how and where to enter these trades. If you haven't done so lately, you're going to want to log into the subscriber area. That's right here. Just to show you, most of you already know this. Here's the log into the subscriber area right here. Scroll down, and the most recent webinars lately have been highlighted here. Now, the one we did last night got into a lot of detail on how and where to enter those probe trades. So that should be posted sometime, I think, today. Yeah, we got a lot of good feedback. But here's, I think, Gary, did you do this one, trading zones and high energy, or was that Rich? This one on the 28th.
That was Rich on Saturday morning.
That was Rich, okay. All right. Well, I'd say these last half a dozen, if you haven't had a chance to watch these yet, these are really good. Lines Make You Money, that was last Wednesday. This is getting in, that got into a lot of detail, over an hour of showing how and where exactly to draw these lines. Focus on the trade entries was good. Advanced trading techniques, psychology. These last half a dozen, if you haven't looked at them, I'd get in there and download them and set aside some time over the next few days to watch these, and keep an eye out for the one from last night. Probe trades were discussed in detail for about an hour. So if you're having issues sort of seeing these retracements and finding these upper levels of support and resistance, watch a couple of those webinars, and I think it's going to really help you a lot. You heard us call out some comments from the team here. It doesn't take. We're not talking about drawing a lot of lines, by the way. All you need is a support and resistance line, a nice trend line, a retracement line or two, and it helps you focus on the trade and see where to get in and out. We've got a lot of positive feedback on how that really helped a lot of people to see the trades. Well, I think that's it. I just wanted to show those two. And here again, when you're trading in the morning, the goal is not to try to catch every trade. When we get a little long in the tooth here, we get to 8:30, 9 o'clock. Most of the trades have happened. We might get another trade or two set up. But you don't want to chase the market around. If you made good money, that's what we call one or two and done. You simply want to bank that coin, cash it out, and then go into sim or go get some breakfast or coffee or whatever you're going to do for the morning. Okay, I think that's it. We got a pro webinar tonight, 5 o'clock. Who hosts that? Is that you, Gary?
That's me.
All right.
By the way, that yellow bar probe that we just called out worked perfectly for at least 10 ticks.
Sweet.